The first season rules for Age of Sigmar 4 have just dropped, and they are super exciting, and we're going to break it all down right now. Hello, welcome to Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob, and I am really excited to be making this video because this is our first look at what the special rules for the General's Handbook 2024 to 2025 are going to look like. Obviously, these special rules also accompany different battle plans, and we're going to break those down in a separate video. In addition, the special seasonal rules that you're going to get are accompanied by different battle tactics. So every year, Age of Sigmar is going to be updated with a new General's Handbook via a set of cards. Although I guess it's not really a book, so I guess it's a General's Hand deck, I think. The GHD. We're calling it the GHD now. So this means every year there's going to be different seasonal rules, and also there's going to be different battle tactics. Right now, there are 6 universal battle tactics and 2 for each Grand Alliance. However, as of time of recording, we don't know if the different battle tomes that are going to be released over the course of the edition are going to mean that we're going to see added faction-specific battle tactics. However, we're going to cover all of those in a different battle tactics video, and instead, we're just going to focus on the core seasonal rules, which are honestly really exciting. For this season, there are 3 different rules that you can use for your army, which are used in the deployment phase. You can only choose one of the 3 to apply, and seeing as they're chosen at the beginning of the deployment phase, this is going to create an amazingly interesting metagame and also kind of a sideboard. So it's like choosing exactly the right bonus against your opponent's army, while also they're going to choose the right bonus against your army. Which one are you going to pick? I don't know. Let's get into it. I'm super excited to talk about this. As I've stated, you can only choose one of these 3 abilities to be used each game. The first one we're going to look at is called Special Assignment. You pick a friendly unit in your general's regiment that is not your general to be the honor guard. You can pick a unit that's in reserve. If you use this ability, you cannot use any other honor guard abilities. The effect is that you pick one of the following weapon abilities: anti-infantry +1 rend, anti-cavalry +1 rend, anti-monster +1 rend, anti-war machine +1 rend, and anti-beast +1 rend. Now, if you're not sure what weapon abilities are, these are special rules that you can add to your weapons. This means that when you target one of the listed unit types, then you're going to get an additional rend on your weapon. In a turn in which the honor guard unit charges, then they're going to be able to apply this additional bonus to their weapon abilities. These weapon abilities are going to have no effect on companion weapons. Some war scrolls list weapons like mounts as companion weapons. Companion weapons are weapons that are not affected by abilities used by friendly units that affect the attack characteristic or the attack sequence of that weapon. +1 rend on its own maybe isn't particularly impressive. However, other spells, abilities in the game that maybe increase the rend of your weapons is going to massively improve this, potentially. Again, this is going to be matchup specific, and it's also going to be unit specific in your army list. But what I really like about it is the option to choose the ability that you need in that right matchup. If you're not interested in using the special assignment ability, then in the deployment phase, you can use the priority target ability. You pick a friendly unit in your general's regiment that is not your general to be your honor guard, and you can pick a unit that is in reserve. You add one to hit rolls and wound rolls for attacks made by the honor guard that target enemy units in the general's regiment. This one has got me super excited for a couple of different reasons. Number one, obviously, the ability to build a Death Star in your general's regiment makes a lot of sense. If you are more of a high-end Age of Sigmar player, you can understand the deployment meta and being as low drop as possible. This is where you take as few regiments as you can and no auxiliaries so that you get the choice to go first. This means that your general's regiment, which will be the first regiment that you have, will contain the most units. Therefore, this priority target ability is going to mean that units in your opponent's army are going to be that much more effective at hitting and wounding your units. The counter to that would be, I guess, to have your general's regiment contain no units inside of it. This, though, then means that you'll end up with more drops in your army, meaning that you might not get the choice to go first. So if you do look at some army lists when Age of Sigmar 4 comes around, and you'll see generals with no units in their regiment, they're trying to avoid having you be able to use the +1 to hit and +1 wound ability against them. If neither of those 2 abilities take your fancy, there is still a third one that you are going to be able to choose during the deployment phase. This ability is called Bodyguard, and you pick a friendly unit in your general's regiment that is not your general to be the honor guard, and you can pick a unit that is in reserve. The effect is that you subtract 1 from the attack characteristic of enemy units' melee weapons while they're in combat with your general if both of the following are true. The Honor Guard is wholly within 6 inches of your general, and the Honor Guard did not charge this turn. -1 to the attacks characteristic of the enemy is really, really good. In our example, we have a plucky Lord Imperator. He's chosen the Bodyguard ability, and he's chosen his unit of 3 Hammer Annihilators. Because no units can get within range of the Lord Imperator without being within 3 inches of the Grand Hammer Annihilators, this means not only are they all locked in combat together, but this offers more protection for both of the 2 units, because the Necropolis Stalkers are now -1 attack. This is going to be especially good on units that are going to be particularly strong at holding objectives. This immediately makes me think of the Slaanesh unit Simbramesh Twin Souls. It took a lot of recordings to get that name right, and I still don't think I have. They have an ability called Ego-Driven Excess, where if this unit did not charge this turn, you subtract 1 from the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by enemy units while they're in combat with this unit. Now, in the core rules, it does state that you cannot take a characteristic down to 0 unless stated otherwise. So if you were to take this unit of Twin Souls and also make them a bodyguard unit, they could be camped on an objective, making any units that charge them and the general -2 to their attacks characteristic. And sure, some units have got a nutty number of attacks, looking at you rat ogres, but that still feels like an incredibly strong mechanic to be picking in the right battle plan. And this is where the entire trio of different abilities gets even more interesting, because not only are they interesting to choose on a battle by battle basis depending on which army or even army type you're playing against, also it's going to be effective depending on what sort of playstyle you're going to go for because of the battle plan. So if I'm honest, a pretty limited set of seasonal rules. Obviously there's the battle tactics and also the missions to play around with. I'll make separate videos about those, but I do like that you get a lot of options between these 3 different picks, that those options are not hard locked for a tournament weekend or over the course of an evening if you're playing at the club, and instead is based on who you're playing against and what mission you're playing, and the choice to choose at the beginning of the battle seems super interesting. Of course, none of us really know right now, and I'd be fascinated to know what you think. So do leave all of your thoughts and ideas in the comments below so I can find out what you think about them. As always, thank you to the Honest Wargamer Patreon, where we have a super active Discord talking about all the Age of Sigmar 4 stuff. We've got faction chats and loads of good discourse. So if you want to jump in there, do join up to the Patreon. It also helps support the show. Thanks very much, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be making loads more, so let me know if you like it. Like, subscribe. I'll see you soon. Thanks very much.